Okay, so ready for another deep dive?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Today we're looking at something pretty big. I mean, literally the entire planet.
The whole enchilada.
Yeah, the whole thing. Uh, Wealth and resources on Earth and how it all gets divided up. And, the excerpts you sent over, they were really interesting, especially that part about, like, putting an actual price tag on the Earth.
Yeah, that always gets people thinking.
Yeah, for sure.
It definitely makes you step back and look at things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
When you think about it, everything we have comes from this one planet.
Hmm.
So I guess in a way, it does have a value, right?
I mean, yeah, if you were going to sell it,
Yeah.
right? How much would you sell it for?
Exactly. Well, one astronomer, Greg Laughlin, he actually took a stab at calculating it.
Oh, wow,
He
wow.
came up with a number. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
$5 quadrillion.
5 quadrillion.
$5 quadrillion.
That's like, I don't even know how many zeros that is.
It's a lot. It's a 1 with 15 zeros after it.
Okay, so more money than I can even imagine.
Way more. To put it in perspective, if we divided that evenly among everyone on Earth, every single person would get over $600 million.
Wow. Okay, so if the Earth is worth that much, how come my bank account looks so different?
Right. Well, that's the big question, isn't it? How is all that wealth actually distributed? And the excerpts you sent, they painted a pretty clear picture. It's not exactly a fair split.
Yeah, that was what really got me thinking. It's like, where's all the money going?
Well, the data shows that wealth tends to concentrate at the top, like way at the top.
1%.
Even more extreme than that. The source material pointed out that just 1% of the population controls a whopping 43.4% of the world's total wealth.
Okay, so yeah, that's a tiny group of people with a massive amount of control.
Exactly. And on the flip side, over half of the world's population, we're talking about 3.7 billion people, they only control something like 1.4% of the total wealth.
Wow. That's that's kind of depressing, actually. Like
Yeah.
billions of people struggling while a handful live like, I don't know, emperors or something.
It's a huge imbalance. And understanding how that happens, well, it's complicated. The excerpts mention a few different types of economic systems,
Yeah.
right? You've got your market economies, command economies, and traditional economies.
Yeah, and I feel like those are all pretty different. Like, how do they each play into this whole wealth distribution thing?
Yeah, so each one kind of has its own like quirks and impacts. Let's start with traditional economies. Those are often found in, rural communities or indigenous groups. They're based on like long-standing customs and practices, often bartering or family trades.
So it's like very community focused.
Exactly. But the thing is, that can limit opportunities for individuals to like climb the economic ladder. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of mobility or access to resources outside the community.
Gotcha. So there's not really that get rich quick mentality.
Right. Then you've got command economies, where the government basically controls everything, like what gets produced, how it's distributed, the whole shebang.
Okay, so it's like super centralized.
Yeah, very top down. The idea is often to create more equality, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Right. Because I mean, historically, haven't those systems often led to shortages and stuff?
Yeah, sometimes. And they can stifle innovation and individual initiative because there's less incentive to take risks or try new things if everything's controlled by the state. Then you've got market economies, which is what we mostly see in the world today. It's all about private ownership, competition, supply and demand, the drill.
The invisible hand of the market.
Exactly. And market economies, they can be really good at driving growth and efficiency. But as you can probably guess, they also tend to produce the most wealth inequality because it's a system that rewards, certain skills and resources, and those who have them tend to accumulate more and more.
It's kind of like the rich get richer.
Yeah, there's definitely a tendency towards that. And it creates a system where those who start out with advantages, whether it's education, connections, or just plain old money, they have a much easier time building wealth than those who start out with less.
Right. So it's not just about how much wealth there is, it's about how it moves around, right?
Right, exactly. And that flow of wealth, it's influenced by all kinds of things. Political upheavals, economic crises, natural disasters, tech booms and busts. I mean, think about the rise of cryptocurrency, right?
Oh, yeah. People making millions, losing millions. It's like the Wild West out there.
It is.
Yeah.
But it also shows how quickly things can change, how wealth can be created and destroyed. The excerpts even mention things like organized crime and corruption, which obviously play a role too.
Yeah, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, that's for sure. But okay, so we've got this complex picture of wealth creation, distribution, all these systems. What can we actually do about this huge gap between the haves and the have-nots?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? Well, the source material pointed to a few things. One big one is how we manage Earth's resources. It talked a lot about shifting to renewable energy, like solar and wind power.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense for the environment, but how does that help with wealth inequality?
Well, it's not just about the tech itself, it's about who controls it and benefits from it. Right now, the fossil fuel industry, it's a huge source of wealth and power for a relatively small group. Imagine if we could democratize energy production.
Yeah, like putting the power literally in the hands of the people.
Exactly. If communities, even in developing countries, could generate their own clean energy, it could create jobs, boost local economies, and reduce dependence on those big energy corporations.
I mean, that sounds amazing, but is it really realistic? Like, can we actually shift the whole system that much?
It's a massive challenge, for sure. But the thing is, we kind of have to. We're facing a climate crisis, and relying on fossil fuels is just not sustainable in the long run.
Right, so it's not just about fairness, it's about survival.
Exactly. And the excerpts also talked about the importance of ensuring everyone has access to decent work and education, like investing in skills training, making healthcare more affordable, creating social safety nets so people aren't constantly on the brink.
So it's about creating a system where everyone has a chance to actually participate, not just scrape by.
Yeah, it's about opportunity. And it's about shifting our mindset away from this idea that wealth is a zero-sum game, that someone else's gain is automatically your loss.
Okay, so the solution isn't just about redistributing the existing wealth. It's about creating more opportunities for everyone to, like, generate wealth in a sustainable way.
Exactly. It's about creating a system that works for everyone, not just the privileged few.
It all circles back to that crazy figure we started with, $5 quadrillion. If the Earth is really worth that much, then every single person on it must be pretty valuable too, right?
That's a powerful way to put it. It forces us to reevaluate what we prioritize, what we value, and how we measure success.
And maybe it's a reminder that we're all in this together, sharing this one tiny blue dot.
And that our actions, both individually and collectively, have ripple effect. Even small changes can make a difference, especially when we act together.
So on that note, we leave you with a question. What role will you play in creating a more equitable and sustainable future? Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, everyone.